All right, guys, how was your week
My
collectively?
week was uh trying to choose the video. I'm trying to get Facebook Live working. Actually, go ahead with Seth while I get this thing to make sure it's working properly.
My weekend's pretty good. I got to get in some games today. Went to the local game store, Mishap, and played in the Grimkin release event, which was actually a lot of fun. Very casual, but got to meet the local players for the first time, and it seemed like a really good group.
Oh, I love release events. I kind of miss that they don't happen quite like they used to. They were always occasionally some broken shit, but guys playing in the spirit and having a great time.
Oh, this definitely had broken shit. The scenario for this was terrible, but it meant that you couldn't take it seriously at all. Because what you had is a 5-inch ring in the center of the table, and it just deviated every turn. And when it touched a model in the path, or when it ended, it was off the table. It's just gone. Which resulted in some pretty funny shenanigans for me because I was using it to hide behind, and unfortunately, my opponent also tried to hide behind it and lost all of his beasts.
Oh,
Yeah.
were
That's
you
fun.
playing Ron?
No, at that point, I was playing Alara 2,
Which
and
is
he also asked me the horrible question of, so how far can your halberdiers go? I was like,
yes,
I can get you.
yes,
It's like, yeah, but really, how far?
it,
It doesn't matter anymore. I have
far
advanced
enough.
once. I can get to the other side of the table.
Yeah, it's a good thing you weren't playing Ron though. Ron would have made that really silly. He'd been like, "All right, I pushed these guys here, they're here. All right, now let's just watch it scatter."
Yeah.
Uh,
How about you, John? How was your week?
it was decent. It was decent. I only got one game in of Malifaux down at the Third Eye Games Slow Grow. It was a fun time. It's always great when you get a guy who's like looking at the packet, which is full of things that don't necessarily help you win, but are worth points in the league, and he's like, "I'm just checking off as many of these as he can." And I'm like, "All right, I'm with you. What do you need me to do?" Because it's there for fun. But it's great because he actually even still took the game seriously. It wasn't like just doing stupid shit. He was trying to do his stuff, but just trying to do anything that would get him points for the league. Like he didn't cheat the entire game, which, if you guys don't know, Malifaux is worse than not boosting the entire game.
Yikes.
Yeah. So literally, if he put something down, I'm like, well, I've already cheated once before I thought this was a thing we might do, so I'm in. So literally just meant like, no, you can miss because I know what your number is going to be final. So it's kind of, I think that's one. If you guys ever playing a slow grow for Malifaux out there, if your opponent says he's not going to cheat, try not to cheat yourself because it'll make it a more interesting game.
Mm.
But it was a great time, good fun. And then for the one I run for my local dudes, I had two random guys come up and ask very, very heartfeltly. They want to get some games in, and I'm the only one running anything there at games and stuff. So I was very kind to let them in, as long as they promised not to tell one guy that we were doing it, because the one guy is a bit too intense for my locals who haven't played in years or haven't played many games of this edition at all. So I don't want him in. I hate to be exclusionary, but sometimes you have to make a call based on what's best for the community.
Absolutely. There were actually times at my previous store where we had to talk to people who were either hyper competitive or people who were just not ready to play competitively at all, and give them some tips about how to be better players, how to be better opponents.
Mm-hmm.
One person we realized we'd been maybe not that great to because we always let him go far over his clock. And then it just became a rule of when the clock goes, we're done. So that's what we have to
Yeah,
do. And it really helped him. And he actually said he appreciated it.
which is awesome. Like this guy, I absolutely have no problem playing him myself. I have no problem with any of the guys playing him after they're back in and familiar. But until that point, it would just not be the best idea because he's that guy, but in kind of the better way. I
Okay.
think I told the story. The first time I played him, he didn't know who I was, just knew I'd shown up twice. I hadn't brought my models. He let me use his models. And his first thought is not to go for, I'm going to win the game and have no models left. His first thought was, I'm going to lose the game with no models left and get those points.
Nice.
Which, it's just, but he's just like, he's looking down the list. It's just a calculation of how do I get that and that and that and that and that and that. And he's just he's a touch too much.
Got
For,
it.
for guys who had collectively before this league played. I'll count myself in maybe 20 games of Mark III, and I'd played about 19 of them.
Got it.
So, or I guess third edition Malifaux. So third edition, second edition? I don't remember. It's second edition. Too many numbers, too many editions for everything. Holy moly! But that was good. Didn't get any games, like I said, for that crew, but I got another week for that because I give 2 weeks per week. And most of the guys were at Gen Con anyways, so slow weekend.
Yep.
Gonzo, how have you been doing?
Let's see. Played a few games of War Machine, testing out still against Ghost Fleet. Trying to figure out a decent solution to Ghost Fleet. Came out okay.
Flip the table. Flip the table.
Just flip the table, say fuck it.
Flip the table.
Zerkova 2?
No, Sorsha 2.
Sorsha 2, yeah.
Until we get like Old Witch 2 or maybe the Grey Lord theme list is going to be okay, but that's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
Played against Grimkin because one of our guys has got Grimkin and he borrowed a few of my Grimkin models to play it. And cool, no problem. He played the Child against Kador Jack Spam. Didn't do too bad. Played in a 40K tournament yesterday.
How'd that go?
Pretty much the way I thought it was going to go. Now, being a competitive player myself, I was looking at the stats, looking at what was going on, looking at the win-loss ratio, and the thing that came about most of the time was if you went first, you were 75 to 90% chance of winning the game. Because of how you can get to your opponent before he gets to do anything in the game now.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah,
it
was actually pretty big because my first opponent played against Gene Stealers. We'll just call it. This has nothing to do against the players. I think it's just a problem with the tournament.
It's a problem with the game.
Yeah, it's a problem with the game. And so I set myself up, spaced myself around. So if he tried to do some deep striking, he would have to go in certain spots only. But
like
Gene Stealers were able to get in my face before I even got to move, and were able to kill off a bunch of stuff before I even got to do it. So I had no way of saving myself or getting myself back. Then I played against a Space Marine army, and I went first, and I was able to get my entire army in his face, shoot up everything, killed a bunch of stuff before it even got to do anything, and by round 3 I had completely tabled him. And that was with him using a lot of pretty powerful stuff. Rupert Gilliman, 3 units of Hellblasters, 2 Storm Ravens, a Titan, just totally wrecked him. Then played against Sisters, and he went first, and he was able to put all of his Sisters in their vehicles, and they get in a scout move, and was able to get them out of the scout move for 3 inches, and then walk 6, and be up in my face, and flaming and killing my Storm Raven, and wrecked a Dread Knight before the game even started, and half of my Interceptors. So he wiped off half my army before the game even started.
So this sounds like a well-balanced, well-thought-out system. I'm in.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. The rules are balanced. The thing is, the problem is the ability to hit your opponent first turn before they get a chance to do anything is a problem. From a tournament standpoint more than anything.
Yeah, it sounds like they need... Well, I mean, it's a long-standing knowledge that GW needs a tournament system to run their games in. Mm-hmm. For a while, Evan Lougheed used to work for Games Workshop, and their promotions department made variants of the scenarios to negate that going first is always the best. And they worked well for a while, but eventually that became not really their focus, so they went away.
I mean, like I said, rules-wise and everything, it's fine. It's great. I think they need to implement some type of rule that can't deep strike until the second turn, or
Absolutely.
if you get advanced moves or something, so the opponent has some type of thing. Because by the time it was my turn, I couldn't stop this opponent.
That's why this is funny. It actually plays more into my decision to look at the Inari part of the Eldar, because if you kill my unit, even if it's their turn, I get to shoot or something immediately. It's cool. Holy shit! We got the Podfather hanging out in the chat room.
What up?
That's
He's
a
about to
Hey,
go to work.
Podfather.
He's about to go to work.
Oh, I hear China's wonderful. John, tell us about the food.
Yeah, I heard the food's amazeballs.
Oh,
How's the weather?
hot is based on what I saw from his brief post. Hot as fuck. Especially for someone from Wisconsin.
Yes. But
But
that was because I went around after each one of my games and was asking the opponents, people that are playing, did you go first or second? Did you go first or second? And pretty much almost everybody that went first won. And that's a pretty big, problem in my opinion. So that's something that just needs to be addressed from a tournament standpoint, because you could make a house rule or whatever saying you can't come in until second turn, but you can't, for a tournament standpoint, the game's won on a dice roll of who gets to go first.
with one die roll of getting a chance to take it from them, but
Correct, because the guy that was playing Sisters of Battle, he won the die roll to take the initiative from me. And that determined it, because after that, I sit there and it says, okay, so let's see what happens if I would have went first, and it would have been the opposite. I would have just wrecked everything around him, and he wouldn't be able to recover.
yeah,
And-
so
Yeah, so I mean, that's the problem. All right, John. Eat some real food.
yeah, no doubt. or live off coffee. I'm sure you can do that. But yeah, so that definitely sounds like it was a good time. But because you knew which was going to be going in.
Yeah. I've always, since going into 40K, I was looking at the rules and I was like, okay, so you can only have half your army deep strike. Cool, no problem. So I'll have half my army deep strike, because that means they can all go in, and if I go first, every one of my army except for one or two models will be in his face, shooting up, and then I get to charge, and I get to reroll failed charges because of my leader, my warlord, and so it was a pretty good chance I'm going to roll and get in and wreck everything that I touch.
Yeah, I'm actually reviewing the 40K rules here coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, good time to tell everyone that we're actually gonna release podcasts of just me reviewing whatever rule books people give me for games. I got former 40K, and I have both Warpath Firefight and Warpath the full game on my table right now to read through. I actually read through both of them and review, just to give you guys some extra stuff. Little opinions on how those games and all work. And 40K's got a really simple rule system, and it's good and bad. And that's sort of the bad of it, is it's so simple that sometimes this shit happens in tournaments.
Well, I mean, it's like I said, it's ITC. They're actually looking at stuff and changing it. And GW's changing it, because at one of the huge tournaments, everybody took a unit of flyers, put the warlord in a flyer, and just ran around the battlefield destroying things, and you couldn't touch it. Because one, you were having minuses to hit it, and they had a lot of wounds, and so you couldn't kill the flyers with ground troops. So then they made a rule that says boots on the ground. That if at any time you have no model on the ground, as in a troop or whatever, and all you have is flyers, you automatically lose the game. So that's the thing. I foresee something coming down because of the deep strike, because they changed it up in ITC that you can only cast the same psychic power once. You can't have like everybody in the entire game has Hammer Hand, which lets you give bonus to wound. You can only cast Hammer Hand once, and that's it.
Ooh, I don't like that. My buddy plays Zinch, and that would really screw him hardcore.
Now, stuff like Smite can be cast multiple times by everybody.
But never mind.
Yeah. It's I think it's the buffing type. So I don't know what ruling, whatever, because that's kind of why people, if kind of hate fighting against Grey Knights is because they're all psychers. They smite on like a 4+, because if you have all Grey Knights, you get a bonus to your psychic abilities. And you've got 50 billion deny the witch test, so you can pretty much deny any spell going off. So I mean, there's a lot of good things. There was good, there was bad. I still love the models. Had a lot of fun. Redesigned a whole new list to deal with that type of situation and how to deal with it. So I have backup. So if I don't go first, plus I get to put together a new model, which I'm kind of cool and been psyched about because I love the Land Raider Crusader. One of my favorite models in the game because it's so cool.
I love Land Raiders.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie.
But it was interesting. Did a bunch of work on the podcast. Got music sorted out. Got new screens for us, which I haven't shown anybody.
Oh, I'd be surprised.
Yes, you'll get a surprise today. Worked on getting... Yeah, guard is a pain in the ass. Very much. And then we'll talk to a couple people, try to get some more guests lined up. Tried to repost a bunch of crap from Gen Con, because I guess that was like something that went on this weekend.
Yeah, it was a little convention there.
Yeah, a little convention that completely sold out,
Yeah.
which is scary to think.
Very, very scary.
Watched a bunch of movies while I was putting together models. Hanging out with a good friend of mine this last week, and it was her first time watching Rogue One. And so it came out to be a really cool perspective watching it from her point of view. And so we'll talk about that during the thing, because it was actually... I laughed the whole time that she was watching it, because it was... I knew it was coming and stuff, so it was interesting. What else? I get to go to work next Tuesday, so I'm stupid excited about that.
Yay! Congo wants to know when he gets your pirate outfit episode.
Oh, I'm already in my pirate outfit. Is he watching right now?
Yeah, he's on Facebook watching.
Oh, is he? Oh, this is the pirate episode, because I actually stole some music and stole some video from someone else all weekend to post on our Facebook page.
Oh,
so I'm a digital pirate.
Oh my, that's
That'd be terrible.
ingenuity.
So here's your R for that.
Oh my.
Tried to stay up to date on the Gen Con stuff and repost a bunch of things, because I know a lot of people don't have different outlets, and hopefully our listeners can get our updates from Facebook on the things that we reposted, because there's actually a lot of good news that came out of Gen Con.
It sounded like a good con in general.
Yeah. Models wise, and board game and RPGs. Let's see. What was it? The Star Wars Legion, which is an interesting thing. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, we need to talk about that on the main cast, because I know Maximum DT at very least wants to hear about it. Hear our thoughts.
Yeah, that one's interesting. What else? Boy Chris Surrey kicking tons of ass.
That's my boy.
Let's see if we can try to get him on the show once or twice.
He's got some things to say. We've been
sure
chatting.
Cool.
We may have to make
a lot of people out there have
backup.
things to. Yeah. A lot of people have things to say and not a good outlet to say them. So
yeah,
we'll get them on here.
Other than that,
yeah. So other than that, you had a slow week.
yeah, it was kind of slow. Meds I'm on are kind of keeping me up all nights of the day and all the days of the nights.
Well, plus since you're not working right this moment, I understand how it is. You know, you take away work day and everything becomes like, oh, look at all this time you have.
Yeah, and I've tried to get up at an early hour and try to go to bed there, but I just can't sleep. So I'm just like playing
Might as well do
games,
something.
playing some games and stuff, and just trying to get myself to fall asleep. And nope, wasn't working.
Yeah, I found out Tuesday how much time you have. You don't go to work because I had my starter die in my car. So I'm pretty much at home all day. I'm like, yeah, look at all this time I have to do stuff. It was
And
like
then you just
analysis
drink.
paralysis. What do I do?
But yeah,
If you're like
it
me,
was a
you
good
start
week.
finding the models you need to paint.
Uh,
You can
I
fill a
don't-
day that way.
I don't have to look. I can see them from here.
Yes.
There's that one, 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 that one. I'm going to stop now because I can keep going for another 20 minutes, I'm sure.
That's why I keep mine actually locked in a cabinet, so I don't feel bad about all the ones I have.
Oh no. I don't feel bad about it. I fully acknowledge that I have more models than I will ever paint, but I just need to get. I've been looking at my desk trying to figure out how to make it work in this kind of small office so I can get a new one and that I can paint on too, which will give me more. If it's all in one spot, I'm more likely to sit down and hobby some, paint some, and switch back and forth. But I just got to work it all out.
I highly recommend the standing desk. Because
That's
not
fair.
only do you get to stand, it's actually more comfortable, it's a little bit better for you. I mean, and then you can do this. And disappear,
Fair.
but
Fair.
only for the folks on video. So, those of you who are listening to the podcast, what I just did was crouch down really low under my standing desk, which made the other guys laugh because it looked funny. Just imagine that. That's what I did.
And there you have it. That's almost as good as the descriptive text I used on one of the movies I watched.
Oh man. The movies I watched. What? I watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 movies this week.
That's one per day. I can do math.
And like a lot of them were at
watched-
night. So no, it was pretty good week. I'm pretty
Okay.
happy with everything. I want to paint, just so it's but we've got a journeyman league coming up on
Oh.
9/2, and I want to paint my Grimkin, so I'm holding off on touching my Grimkin. So
Yeah, actually, I have one coming up too. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it just because of work. War Machine Day and work are no longer coinciding like they used to, so we will see. But I did get good word from some of the guys at the local store. They really would want me to run a Malifaux Slow Grow League when I'm done with the one for my buds. So that's on the plate.
that's good.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
on this weekend, I'm going out of town to Midwest Melee, aka
Oh,
Recruits, to go play in a tournament there for the weekend. It's a qualifier.
Sweet.
So, looking forward to that. Hanging out with some people. Other than that, not a bad week.
Sweet. Well, I'm going to go get some more alcohol for the main cast.
Oh, I'm
Because
sticking
we're
to
getting... All right. I'll be back in a minute.
one. All right. Anybody else need to get a refill? Go ahead and go do it now. So we only got like 5 minutes until we got to shut it all down and start it back up. I'm going to go ahead and pour my Maker's Mark.
Do it.
I leave this at my desk now. Is that sad?
No. Is it sad that I consider adding peppermint oil to my rinse water so my paint tastes better? That's actually one of the things that I enjoy is that the P3 paints I use don't taste bad at all. They actually don't taste. But I was doing some work with Vallejo paints. Those have flavor. Mainly ass. I don't know if I want those to do battle, though. Minty ass. Eek.
Minty ass. Is that like rubbing a peppermint on your girl's butt?
I don't know. I'll find out.
You let me know. Alright. We got about 4 minutes as we go.
Oh, I have a mini topic.
Mini topic.
So, been playing games with a younger fella. And when I say younger, I mean like high schoolish. And he's also very new to the game. So, gentlemen, what is the appropriate protocol for playing the new folks, making sure they feel encouraged, and yet not letting a game go on for 5 hours? When do you call it?
Ooh, that's tough.
Yep. Mini topic. Go.
I'd say you set a time limit and you just stick to that. Like, hey, dude, I can go a little more than the standard 2 hour. I can go about 3 hours, but after that, we got to call it so I can get another game in. Maximize the hobby time. So let's just go, or start teaching him the clock.
Yeah. Teach a
It's never too early to use the clock.
Yeah, teach on death clock's not bad. That way it'll help.
Or make him use time turns. Just be relaxed. Be like, all right, here's 15-minute time turns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really relaxed, and they should be okay with that. If you can't do what you're doing in 15-minute time turns, you are planning way, way, way too much.
Yeah.
And that can actually go for any game that has that kind of thing. Break it down. If you're playing 40K, you can time. I might time phases just so they're not taking too long in any phase. Or if you're playing something that goes back and forth, like since we're reading it, Warpath or Malifaux, give them so much time per activation to do something, and then go. Infinity is a little harder because people tend to interrupt, but you can still do it. You just got to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Seems like good planning.
yeah.
I think the death clock is one of my favorite because you know how much time you've got and you can use as much time as you got. All tournaments are like that, so they'll be preparing them for a tournament if need be.
Mm-hmm.
But that also sets a 2-hour time limit.
Yep.
That way you don't have to worry about it. And there you don't have to feel like they're rushed on time turns. They can take as long as they want, but you get to sit there and encourage or say, hey, you might not want to do that because if you move there, I will kill you next turn. No matter how much you put in front of your models.
Yeah.
Or if you just haven't taken time, do that and then go, all right, let's re-rack for another quick game. Don't make that mistake again, or what have you. There's a lot of ways about it. You just have to figure out the best one for that person and go. Time limit's a pretty good generic one that should work with just about everyone.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, it is now 7 o'clock. All right, guys, we're going to go and shut down, and we will come back. Make sure you refresh Twitch so it'll come back and say who it is. Other than that, we have some new stuff to show and new things to go. And I will be back in just a little bit.